disgusted, humiliated, and horrified that this has happened. That I woke up on the New Year morning to see my name on, to see myself being auctioned virtually, along with 100 other Muslim women, because we are Muslim.
Cynthia Stephen is a gender policy analyst and an independent journalist. She joins us from Bangalore in India. Cynthia, thank you so much for your time. The website was called a name which is a derogatory term for Muslims in India. Was it for real? Were women really being auctioned, or was it some kind of sick joke to humiliate them?
It wasn't. It's not that women were really being humiliated, were really being auctioned. It's just a kind of a prank, if you like, but it is much more serious than that, because it reflects a misogynistic and you could say Islamophobic sentiment, which was being shown as, women being auctioned. So it was not really an auction, but really an attempt to humiliate women and denigrate them.
Do you think Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister's government, is waging some kind of, I don't know, religious or culture war against Muslims? Let me read you a headline from Time magazine, no less. And it's just from as recently as October. And the headline was, "Is India headed for an anti-Muslim genocide?"
As a matter of fact, I would say that the Narendra Modi government is doing, on a culture war against Muslims alone. It's not just about Muslims, but also about anyone who is an outsider to the culture. And so India being a very diverse and plural country, there are many sections which are othered by this kind of thought process. Of course, Muslims. Then there are religious minorities like Christians as well. There are Dalits, who are the former untouchables, who are also considered outsiders to the culture. There are Adivasis, or the indigenous people, who are not seriously considered as part of the mainstream. And, so there are women, a large section of women who are also othered in this culture. So there is indeed a culture war, but it does target the Muslims, but it also targets all these other groups, which in fact, as a matter of fact, constitute the majority in terms of numbers in our country.
Yeah, I mean, it was in September. Narendra Modi was meeting President Joe Biden at the White House. The US president was talking about Mahatma Gandhi and his attitude of reconciliation and peace towards all humans. And yet, in the northeastern state of Assam, Indian security forces were removing Muslims and trying to place Hindus in those communities, because the government, the security forces, the officials were saying that those Hindus it was their rightful place, that they were indigenous to that area. Just, do you think that possibly there is less of a chance of peaceful coexistence? I mean, you've been broadening it out beyond Muslims, so let's broaden it out. Is there less chance of peaceful coexistence in India now between its Hindu majority and all of its minorities than before Narendra Modi became Prime Minister of India?
See, what is playing out is what used to be very it used to be an undercurrent. This kind of distinction, the Northeasterners from the rest of India, and then the non-Hindi speaking people from Hindi-speaking people, Muslims, Christians, Dalits. These kind of differences were always there. But what is different at this time is that the rhetoric is very open. Earlier it was never so open, and we even had a very serious anti-Sikh violence that happened in 1984. So there's been, and the fact is that India being a very diverse country has been held together by a constitutional framework. And what is happening is that in the past 7-8 years of Modi's government, these constitutional frameworks have been seriously undermined, especially the press. And so the clamor that goes on in the press in the mainstream appears to reflect as if something is really becoming unstuck. It's not as bad as all that. It is, we still are, there's a large silent majority which doesn't agree at all with what is going on. And I think all this is really serving to consolidate, the opposition to Modi in a sense. And you might have seen the kind of protests that happened precisely as a result of the Assam, the National Population Register and the CAA that was brought in the Citizenship Amendment Act. And as a result of that, that was brought in not because the Muslims were being enumerated and found that they were extra. Actually, the enumeration, the government was shocked to find that 19 lakh, that is 1.9 million Hindus of Assamese origin were excluded by this list. Mm-hmm. And it is in order to try and bring them back in that the next legal amendment, the CAA, was brought in. So, and that has actually a lot of problems in the country.
Cynthia, really, really appreciate your time, especially as we know that you have stayed up well beyond midnight to be with us on this news hour on TRT World. Thanks a lot. Cynthia Stephen in Bangalore.